Plurals in German. So, in English, we typically only have two ways to make something plural. In English, we typically add an S or an ES. Unfortunately, in German, it's a little more diverse. There are a lot of ways to make something plural. The one good thing we can note about German plurals is that the article for plural nouns is always die. So it's always die, it's never das or der. So, some of the nouns will add e to their end. For example, der Freund is friend. If you add an e, der becomes die, because we already said all plurals are die. Die Freunde means friends. Der Schuh is die Schuhe, for shoes. The second most popular plural form is the en ending. So der Student, which is the college student, not a high school student, becomes die Studentin for plural students. Die Zeit, die Zeiten for times. So e and en are the most popular, much like in English we only have s or es. But don't worry, there's more. So, sometimes you might just add an n. So die Schule already ends in an e, becomes die Schulen. Sometimes there's no change. Okay, no difference. I spelled that wrong. So das Fenster is die Fenster. There's no ending change on the word. The only thing that changes is that it's feminine die. Sometimes you just add an umlaut. So, der Bruder, brother, becomes die Brüder, brothers. Or Mann, man or husband, Männer. So that's this one, Männer. So it can get an umlaut and an er. Or house, Häuser, has the oi sound, Häuser. Kind, die Kinder, children. Sometimes it's similar to the English form where you add an S. Radio, radios. This happens a lot with O and YN words and foreign words. Das Baby, die Babys. So we're already up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different ways to make something plural. If you have any of the words that end in these suffixes, you'll typically add an en. If it's a feminine noun, so for example, Lehrerin, female teacher, to say a group of female teachers, you add en, Lehrerinnen. And this is most important, star this, that when we get to the dative case, which is one of the 4 cases in German, you'll typically add an n or an en to the plural form as well. So also note that while English takes capital letters only in countries, names, or days, in German all nouns are capitals, which we know that. We've done that previously. All nouns are capital. So, we've looked at 7, 8-ish. The first 5 or 6 are pretty common. Definitely the first 2 versions are the most common. But I'm going to quickly just give you a little chart that will show you most of the common plurals. Kind of tried to rank them so the most common is at the top with the least common being at the bottom. So, typically add an e. So dog, dogs. Second most common, en. no change, add an N. The umlaut ER, or just adding an ER. Adding the S. One of these we don't see a lot, but it happens, just adds an umlaut. So der Apfel, the apple, Äpfel. I mentioned that with brother before. A lot of feminine words, so like the students K through 12, die Schülerin, die Schülerinnen. So with feminine, a lot, add NEN. Sometimes you might have some very bizarre ones, so I would say even rules 9 through 12. Definitely 11 and 12 are the least common of them all. You might add an extra SE. You might add an umlaut and an E, just like in rule plural 7, it was just an umlaut. Some are a little different altogether. This is one of my favorites. Das Museum, which is the museum. You say Museen, which is museums. And then foreign word plurals can be totally different. Prinzip, Principien. So just different things can happen with the plurals. Now the challenge with plurals is, how do you learn them? Well, as you use them, you'll initially have to look them up. Someone will likely correct you. I still make mistakes with my plurals. So if you have a German dictionary, here's a couple different types of dictionaries. It'll always tell you. So here it has a symbol that says umlaut and an E. That tells us that this word, der, becomes D. And it wants us to add an umlaut over the vowel and then add an E. So this one already tells us what the changes are. So der Fahrplan, the schedule, die Fahrpläne, the schedules. Here in another different type of German dictionary, so a farmer, it tells us that it's masculine. Well, we know when we make it plural, it's going to become D. And then here it tells us the plural is a dash N. So I'm going to write the word, and I'm going to add an N. So to say farmers, we say die Bauern. Sometimes they're already in plural form, so a dictionary will likely tell us that. Here's another example where it tells us the plural because there's too many changes to it. So it says, well, the plural of tree is Bäume. Here, spring tells us an E ending. So different dictionaries will tell you how to do that. If you look it up on a website, now this is probably my favorite, dict.leo.org. I recommend bookmarking this. Excuse me. When you look up a word, like book, it'll tell you the plural form. So all nouns will tell you the plural. So das Buch becomes die Bücher. So you just kind of have to use what resources you have and figure out how it will help you make the plurals. I hope this helps. Danke.